uMkhonto weSizwe Party and the South African Broadcasting Corporation are in court over the use of the term Government of National Unity. The MK Party wants the public broadcaster to stop referring to the 7th administration as the GNU in its news and current affairs program. Well, joining us is Uyanda Siyotula, SOS's national coordinator. Perhaps just what you make of this whole episode overall.
Good afternoon, Vuyo. Thank you very much for having me. I think our immediate response to this matter is that this whole, MK court case against the SABC really just is an infringement, of, the freedom of expression or the freedom of the media, rather. And I think, it really just raises so many concerns about media freedom in South Africa and, the abuse of power by this particular political party. And I think given, where the SABC comes from as a public broadcaster in terms of how it's actually built its credibility as an institution, we really think that, the allegations that the public broadcaster is spreading propaganda really does taint and erode the public trust that the SABC has managed to build, over the years. And I think really we are hoping that the courts will deal with this particular matter accordingly and ensure that, the MK party really knows that, media freedom in South Africa will be upheld.
Do you believe that because the MK party has chosen to focus on the SABC and not on other broadcasters or news organizations broadly, for that matter?
So the public broadcaster, we must keep in mind that it is, the biggest media entity in South Africa, and obviously, it, services millions of people, on a daily basis. It's got radio stations, it's got, television stations. So really, it speaks to a massive number of, the South African population, and obviously, to try and intimidate the public broadcaster. If the MK actually was to be successful in this. In this whole matter, obviously that would send a huge and a very negative message across other media entities that are not as big and as the public broadcaster. So I think really it is important that the courts rule accordingly to ensure that, this sends a very strong message, to other political parties, even that, media freedom in South Africa will be protected. And I think obviously the SABC, previously, if you look at, the era, the Saudi era, really was, a playground for various political parties. And I think it's really important that, we set the record straight that, there's been so many transformations and the SABC is now, a credible institution, and that needs to be maintained. And no political party should, influence how the public broadcaster, reports on its, matters. There should be no editorial interference at all at the public broadcaster.
I know this is hypothetical, but would it have made any difference if, for argument's sake, the MK party had, in addition to the SABC, added other broadcasters like Newzroom Afrika, added radio stations, even newspapers?
I think so. I think because, remember, the public broadcaster is part of the broader media landscape in South Africa, and any threat to the public broadcaster and other media entities really is a threat to the whole media, fraternity. And I think, whether it's the public broadcaster, whether it's an independent news outlet, the message needs to be the same, that is sent to political parties to really just assure them that, the media is not a playground, the media is not a puppet, for political parties. It is, the media is credible, and, we really need to maintain that to ensure that, our media really plays its part in ensuring that, it drives and advances our democracy.
If we give the MK party the benefit of a doubt for a second and say maybe they're driving a point home, they're saying there is something amiss about this being called the Government of National Unity, and you would have or may have seen these debates on social media, but also on some media platforms, and I can tell you even within newsrooms themselves. Is there something inherently wrong or problematic about raising this issue?
I mean, I think the key issue here is the fact that, you know, the MK party is not raising this issue with the correct entities, because this term comes from the ANC government. And if this is an issue, then, you know, they need to raise it with, you know, the ANC, but not the media, because the media is reporting on issues as they unfold. And these are terms, you know, these are public terms that are used in everyday dialogue by political parties. So, I mean, I don't think that it is necessarily propaganda as they claim, but I mean, I think they just need to ensure that they follow due processes. And I think also with the fact that they're raising this matter with the SABC and taking them to court, there are other due processes as well to ensure you know, or to hold rather the public broadcaster accountable should there be a term or a particular news item that, you know, any individual is not happy with, and those processes are there, you know, but the MK did not follow any due process. So I think really, I mean, you can see that there is a particular agenda that is being driven to kind of try and discredit the SABC, and particularly maybe, you know, the media fraternity at large.
Of course, I mean, the SABC wants this case thrown out, and so do organizations like yours that support public broadcasting in this country, but also media freedom generally.
Yes, absolutely. I think, you know, we have got so much trust in our judicial system. We have seen how, you know, our courts have actually protected the independence of the public broadcaster previously. I mean, if you think of the Madojane case back in 2017, which actually ensured that the SABC retains, you know, its independence. So we're hoping that the courts are actually going to dismiss this in the public interest, but also in favor and advancement of, you know, media freedom.
We'll see what comes out of it. Let me thank you, Uyanda Siyotula, for your time this afternoon.